Don't do like that. Don't ever do like that. I watched the rehearsal of your show tonight.
Yeah.
It's not easily done because it takes an effort to go to Washington and go.
And the public never really knew. These weren't just flings, they were the ones who got under his skin in ways no one talks about. Today, we're finally breaking that silence. Stick around because what he revealed changes how you see old Hollywood forever.
Accident. I was a piano player, and I wanted to write songs and play piano and things like that, which was.
Embrace me, sweet embrace of you.
A good ballad into a slow four, a wonderful kind of rhythmic quality.
It's the late 1990s. Frank Sinatra is in his final years, quieter now, not the larger-than-life guy from the Vegas stage anymore. He's sitting with one of the very few people he still completely trusted, someone who wasn't looking for a story or a headline. And in that private moment, Frank starts talking about something he never said in public before.
She's so marvelous.
Of the British ones, obvious, Nigel, Basil, Winston.
These weren't the famous names you see in every documentary. Not Ava Gardner, not Marilyn Monroe, not even Angie Dickinson or Mia Farrow.
Subsidies. I know it and you know it, but we need a good pictures. And
I got enough trouble being a plain American Jew without having these trick-or-treat guys running in.
The ones that mattered most when the cameras were off. Frank said these 5 women got inside his heart in ways the public romances never did. They saw him when he was down, when he was fighting to get his career back, when he was angry at the world.
our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is
And that's exactly why Hollywood never let their names stay attached to his. Back then, the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, the studios controlled everything. If a story didn't fit the perfect movie star image, it disappeared. Agents made phone calls. Editors killed articles. Photographers were told to look the other way. Frank knew the game better than almost anyone. He played it for years. But he also hated it. And in those last conversations, he finally let the truth out. One of these women, he said, had a quiet strength that pulled him in right away. She wasn't loud or flashy. She didn't need to be the center of attention. But when they were alone, she had this calm fire that matched his own intensity. Frank remembered how she could sit in a room with him for hours, saying very little, but making him feel understood in a way few people ever did. He met her during one of the roughest patches of his life. His records weren't selling the way they used to. The movies were drying up. The papers were writing him off as finished. Most people walked away when the spotlight dimmed. She didn't. She stayed. They spent nights talking about dreams, failures, second chances. Frank said those talks kept him going when he wanted to give up. Another one came into his life on a movie set. They were supposed to be just co-stars. That's what everyone was told. But late in the day, after the director yelled cut, they'd find quiet corners of the lot to talk. What started as friendly conversation turned into something deeper. Frank laughed when he remembered how careful they had to be. No one could see them together too long. No one could hear what they were saying. The secrecy made it more real. He said she had this way of looking right through his tough guy act. Most people saw the swagger, the charm, the smile. She saw the man underneath who was scared of failing, scared of being forgotten. Frank admitted he wasn't always easy to be with back then. He had a temper. He drank too much sometimes. She never tried to fix him. She just stayed close and let him be himself. Hollywood made sure their story never leaked. No gossip columns mentioned late-night dinners. No photographers caught them leaving the same place. Frank said it was one of the few times he felt truly free, because no one was watching, no one was writing about it, no one was trying to sell the story. It was just two people connecting in the middle of all the noise. The third woman he talked about had already been through her own battles in the industry. She came to Hollywood full of hope, like so many others. But the roles dried up. The promises turned into excuses. She wasn't the type the studios wanted anymore. Frank met her when she was trying to rebuild, just like he was. They understood each other's scars. He said their time together was full of laughter and late-night drives. They'd go out to the desert or up the coast, away from the city lights, away from the eyes. Frank loved that she didn't care about his fame. She cared about whether he was okay. Whether he was happy. Whether he was still fighting. Those simple questions meant more to him than any award or sold-out show. One night they sat on the beach until the sun came up. No music, no champagne, just the sound of waves and two people talking about life. Frank said he never forgot that night. It was one of the few times he felt completely at peace. No pressure. No role to play. Just honest conversation with someone who got it. The fourth actress he mentioned had a spark that reminded him of himself in his younger days, bold, fearless, ready to take on the world. They met at a party, one of those big Hollywood nights where everyone pretends to be happy. But when they started talking, the rest of the room disappeared. They ended up leaving together, not caring who saw. Their time was short but electric. Frank described it as a wildfire, beautiful, intense, impossible to control. They laughed hard, fought hard, loved hard. He said she challenged him every day. She never let him coast on charm. She called him out when he was wrong. And he loved her for it. Even though it didn't last, he carried pieces of her with him forever. Certain songs he recorded later had lines that came straight from those nights. He never told anyone which ones. But when you listen now, knowing this story, you can almost hear her in the words. The fifth woman was the hardest for him to talk about. Frank's voice changed when he brought her up. He said she understood loss the way very few people do. She had lost people she loved. So had he. They met during a time when both of them were grieving different things: love, family, dreams, youth. They found comfort in each other's sadness. They didn't try to fix the pain. They just shared it. Long walks. Quiet dinners. Nights sitting on the couch listening to records. Frank said she was the only person who could sit in silence with him and make it feel full instead of empty. That's rare. He never found it again. He admitted he regretted never fighting harder to keep some of these connections alive. The industry, the schedule, the fear of scandal, it all got in the way. But in the end, he was glad he had those moments at all. They reminded him that real life happens off the screen, away from the lights, in the places no one writes about. Frank believed Hollywood buried these women because they didn't fit the fairy tale. The studios wanted glamour without mess. They wanted stars who looked perfect, loved perfectly, lived perfectly. But real people are complicated. Real love is complicated. These 5 women were real. And that's exactly why their stories were erased. He told his friend he wished the world could know them, not as gossip, not as scandal, but as the remarkable women they were. Talented. Brave. Kind. Passionate. Flawed. Human. The same things he tried to be, even when the world wanted him to be larger than life. As he got older, Frank thought more about legacy. Not just the songs, not just the movies, but the people he touched and who touched him back. These 5 were part of that legacy. They shaped him. They changed him. They stayed with him when so many others faded away. In those late-night confessions, he wasn't bragging. He wasn't trying to shock anyone. He was simply telling the truth, maybe for the first time, to someone he trusted would carry the story after he was gone. He wanted their names remembered, even if only in a quiet way.